is good, Defenders? Welcome to episode 246 of Defenders of the Bank. You know my voice. I am the Scarf, J.R. Liebert, with a very special episode today, but apparently also a very special guest host today of Defenders of the Bank. That is one Boba Philly.
You, my friend, stand corrected. It's not just special guest, it's special guests.
Oh my God.
It's Boba Philly and Darth Hello Kitty. May the 4th be with you. At the time of this recording, it is May the 4th, otherwise known as Star Wars Day. And if there's anything y'all could at least say about me is the fact that I am at least somewhat entertaining. And it's just me and my compadre here, Darth Hello Kitty. Darth Hello Kitty, what do you have to say?
Hello, Mr. Scarf. May the 4th be with you.
I genuinely didn't see the feet coming out of the bottom of the mask there for a minute. I thought you were just holding. Oh, I see it now. Believe me. I like that. Look, guys, it's a very special day. It's May the 4th. You guys know Philly and I are a bunch of nerds, that's for sure, along with apparently.
What makes you say that?
Darth Hello Kitty. But look, this is a very special episode that we have today, because this is kicking off a brand new series here on Defenders of the Bank called Getting to Know. And this will be a series that we have dedicated to getting to know those teams that we don't normally play in Major League Soccer. There are 29 teams, 28 and us in Major League Soccer. But we are going on a journey, everybody. We are going to Central-ish California, to Monterey Bay, to Seaside, California, to take on Monterey Bay FC in the U.S. Open Cup round of 32. And look, Philly, you and I, while we do talk our fair share of USL Championship soccer, we definitely don't talk a whole ton about Monterey Bay FC.
If I could steal a line from Rick Moranis in the movie Spaceballs, I can't breathe in this freaking thing. Oh, all right. Now that we've got that May the 4th stuff over with, I was method acting in that sense. Hopefully, those of you that are listening to this, I beg for you to at least go on the YouTube and catch the first couple of minutes, the first 3 to be exact, of this Getting to Know pod, because we put in a great deal of work. Kudos to Scarf for coming out with this idea. And the USL is a fun tournament. I know Scarf says it's his favorite all the time. And the one thing that we stress on this pod that we do all the time is inform, educate, and entertain. And obviously, we're here to inform and educate. We took a deep dive down the alleyway of a team in which we would have never even thought to do so ever before. And that's what makes the Open Cup fun, is getting to do this type of research. And Scarf mentioned that, this is a club that we haven't mentioned much. That's true, because this is a club that hasn't even really been around for that much. Hello Kitty is older than Monterey Bay FC. Hello Kitty was born, at least that Hello Kitty, in 2019. 2022 is when this Monterey Bay team was born.
Yeah, look, if you're talking Open Cup, right, we're talking Bethlehem Steel, the Fall River Marksmen, St. Louis Central Breweries, Greek American Atlas. I mean, these are the best and I guess most winningest team in Open Cup history is Maccabee, which comes from Los Angeles, the only 5-time winner. Look, man, this is so much fun. It is March Madness, but with soccer clubs from all around the United States. If you've got a chip in a chair, especially in last year's tournament, you could go real far. And it's such a fun tournament, the U.S. Open Cup. Philly, we just want to remind everybody once again, everything we do here on Defenders of the Bank is sponsored by FlexPowerTools.com, the front of kit sponsor. It's somewhere under there, underneath Boba Philly, and the front of kit sponsor of Los Angeles Football Club, and of course of Defenders of the Bank. Head on over to FlexPowerTools.com, and we just want to remind everybody, every tool you buy through 2023 comes with a full lifetime warranty. So a big thank you to our friends over at Flex. And again, as a reminder, they are still raising funds for the Mauricio Facio futsal court in Southeast LA. Go to LAFC.com/Mo-Facio, FASCIO, to donate. Again, we talked about how this is a very special episode. Normally, we would have this day in LAFC history, news and notes and all that. Not on this episode. This episode is all about Monterey Bay FC. But more importantly, it is all about, my friend, you mentioned it, my favorite tournament of the year, the U.S. Open Cup, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, which you being the Rams guy that you are and us being LAFC fans that we are, not a lot of love for Lamar Hunt, but you know what? They named the whole darn thing after him, so that's what we've got to call it, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. And Philly, the U.S. Open Cup is a lot like, and I know I'm going to get some grief from some people out there, but it's a lot like the FA Cup in England, or maybe the DFB Pokal in the Bundesliga, in that if you've got a club that wants to play in it and they're professional or even semi-professional, as long as they've got a chip and a chair, they can play.
It is pretty open. I mean, you and I could start a pub league and essentially qualify for the U.S. Open Cup. Well, not exactly. Not that we even would, but no, it is a wide open field. I mean, it's the oldest in the history of the United States. Yes, it's a lot older than the LA fallacy is too. They've only been around since 96. This, on the other hand, has been around since 1914. Now, you mentioned the whole Lamar Cup. I was going to say cup. I swear I was going to say cup.
And that's how we
lost our family-friendly label. It was named after Lamar Hunt in 1999. It wasn't always called that. It was called the National Challenge Cup, which U.S. Open Cup has a nice ring to it. And we'd have to go back to my neck of the woods for the first iteration because it was won by the Brooklyn Field Club. And the trophy that was presented was donated by Thomas Dewar. Wait a minute. Where have I heard the name Dewars before? Dewars? Ah, yes. Whiskey. Who doesn't love Scotch whiskey? Lesson for you. All whiskey is Scotch, but not all Scotch is whiskey. Dewars. In fact, I should have bought a bottle of that earlier. The only thing I can toast with is Topo Chico, and you know that toasting with water is bad luck. But yes, that was the first trophy donated, which is pretty darn cool. I wonder if it smells like Dewars. Even if it was old Dewars, it's still nice Dewars. And
it definitely looks like one of those cool old trophies, man. I mean, that thing was donated in 1912, first one in 1914. That's the trophy on the right-hand side there, and it looks like it's out of an encyclopedia page. That is such a cool photo of that trophy. You mentioned it, though, right? Renamed in 1999, Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and that's obviously the very pretty trophy that you see in front of you there. Approximately 100 clubs, Philly, 100 clubs vying for this. And unfortunately, many of them already eliminated as we are in the round of 32, which is where most MLS clubs enter. Not San Jose Earthquakes and not Atlanta United. Both of those eliminated in what they call cup sets earlier on. We'll talk more about that San Jose upset. Atlanta United losing to Memphis. Was it Memphis Reno 911 FC? I don't know, Memphis 901 FC, Memphis. I don't know. The Memphis team that's owned by Tim Howard eliminated Atlanta United. And Philly, we're going back. Let's go back to your neck of the woods, although it's a little closer to my family's neck of the woods. 1999, the Rochester Rhinos. What an incredible name. What an incredible club. The reason why we mentioned the 99 Rhinos is because since MLS began in 96, only one lower division club, the 1999 Rochester Rhinos, now Rochester, New York FC, have won.
Now nothing because I heard they're going bye-bye.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make it after this. That's for sure. But Philly, this is such a fun tournament, the U.S. Open Cup. I mean, literally last year, if you guys can go back, for those of you watching this, go back and look at what happened last year. There were like 3 or 4 fourth or third division tier clubs that made it to the round of 32. You were having upsets. Galaxy played the Cal United Strikers FC last year in a game that was way too close. I mean, they were losing to the Cal United Strikers for a little bit. It was an incredible tournament. But Philly, the fun part is LAFC gets to take part after the round of 32. We've played in this thing 3 times, 2018, 2019, no cups in 20 or 21 because of COVID, and 2022 we played last year as well. Philly, you and I agonize all the time about that 2018 U.S. Open Cup run.
I've been pondering this since I said it, and I just want to make sure I wasn't dyslexic when I mentioned Dewars. All Scotch is whiskey, but not all whiskey is Scotch. If I said it the other way around, I was dumb. But if I said it the correct way, I am just not good with my short-term memory. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure I cleared that up in the event that I made it mildly doer's dyslexic. So, yes, 2018, our inaugural season, oddly enough, our best run in the U.S. Open Cup. Since we've been a part of this, we've actually had 7 wins and 3 losses, but we've never made it further than we did in 2018. At that point, we beat Fresno FC, which, by the way, turns out to be Monterey Bay FC. More on that later. We beat Sacramento Republic, a team that more than likely would have ended up in the MLS had it not been for COVID. You ask why they didn't come in because of COVID? Well, their owner had much of his fortune wrapped up in the hospitality industry. And you could only imagine what the hospitality industry had happened to it during COVID. And then, of course, we ended up playing the pesky Pine Trees of Portland and beating them, where we did lose. And if there is a silver lining in this, we did lose to the team that ended up going to win that year. We lost to the Houston Dynamo, a absolutely exciting game, a game in which Panda and I were at the fields watching it while Scarf and Nina were watching Weezer, I believe, at the Forum. We were down 3-1. Diego Rossi just comes in late in injury time, ties the game, gets a hat trick in it. We go to penalty kicks. It took about 8 kicks to decide, and unfortunately, misses by both Latif Blessing and Laurent Simon put the nail in our coffin for that. And honestly, I would argue that it put the nail in the coffin to Laurent Simon's career, because after that, he took off to France. We ended up losing 7-6 to the Dynamo, and they ended up in the final winning, and I believe they played the Union, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and double check, but nevertheless, that was the furthest we made it in 2018.
Man, Diego Rossi was absolutely incredible in that match. I was watching it while standing at a back bar, watching one of the, I don't remember who opened up, some band. And man, I was so pissed. Unfortunately, I'm a huge Latif Blessing guy, and when Latif missed that kick, it went 8 rounds during the penalty kick process, man. 8 rounds. Oh, we just couldn't figure it out. Steven Beitashour, Jordan Harvey were taking penalty kicks. I mean, those are legends in club history. 2019, we beat RSL and San Jose before falling 1-0 at home on a late Jeremy Abobasi goal in the 84th minute.
That guy again.
And man, in 2022, a very frustrating end. Of course, we defeated Orange County Soccer Club and Portland again to make the round of 16. But dare I say, I think it's our ugliest loss of our title-winning year of 2022. I know Austin beat us in Austin 4-1, but this was a game that saw Carlos Vela leave injured. This was a game that saw Chiqui Palacios leave injured. And it's the U.S. Open Cup. We don't want to be losing guys like Carlos Vela and Chiqui Palacios. And we just played terribly. I mean, Carson took it to us in Carson. We lost 3-1. It's kind of a deflating loss, if we really want to be honest. We were expecting a lot better of a showing from our guys. So 2022, a very frustrating end. But Philly, going into this match against Monterey Bay FC, let's see. We beat Fresno. We beat Sacramento. We beat OCSC. We are undefeated against lower-level clubs in the history of U.S. Open Cup play. So I'm liking that. Philly, let's get into at least just a little bit. Let's dip our toes in the water of their 2023 Open Cup opponent, Monterey Bay FC. And the thing I love about Monterey Bay FC, they got a sweet logo, man. Philly, you match. I'm not going to lie. You look like you match. You got that color in the middle. They call it kelp. Their 2 colors are crisp and kelp. And Philly, you look like your Mandalorian clan is from Monterey Bay FC right now.
My Beshkar alloy metal only appears that way in the light. If you were actually close, it would look like what the East River of New York looked like in the 70s. Toxic green. So no, it's not that color. It appears to be that color.
I love it. Look, Monterey Bay FC, you mentioned it at the top, Philly. They've been around for a whole 2 seasons. 2 seasons, kind of. We'll get into that a little bit later.
A lot of interesting contrasts, by the way, which, we will get into.
Yeah, look, they play in the USL Championship Division, which for all of you out there that don't know USL soccer, I absolutely love USL soccer. The way I equate the USL, the easiest thing to compare it to is minor league baseball, you guys. It's very simple. Minor league baseball, they would be considered AAA baseball. Baseball terms, they are AAA, the second division of the US soccer period. Right underneath that is USL League One and then USL League Two. Pretty similar, correct me if I'm wrong, Philly, to the English Championship, English Premier League, English Championship, and then they have League One and League Two, right? Is that pretty similar to that, I think, Philly?
Well, minus the whole pro rel thing. Sure, you could equate it as such.
I do equate it as such then. There you go. To give further context, LAFC 2, which began play this season, is in the third division of the U.S. soccer pyramid. They're playing an MLS Next Pro, and that's grouped in with League One and a league called NISA. And last year we had, I think, 3 NISA teams, or at least a handful of NISA teams, make it well past where they normally do into the round of 64 and 32. We mentioned it. They're lovingly known as the Crisp and Kelp. That's their team. We're the black and gold. They're the Crisp and Kelp. They're 2 primary colors of their kits. The club's third color is called Dune Yellow, named after Fort Ord Dunes State Park. We're going to talk a little bit about Fort Ord in a minute and the sand dunes that line the coast. And Philly, they play against a lot of really fun clubs that we're familiar with.
That they do. The Phoenix Rising, the Las Vegas Lights. This is a team that plays and has ties to teams that we have faced in the past. And as you mentioned it, they're brand new, but they're not just completely brand new, like a brand new franchise within its own like history. So they started out as the Fresno Foxes, a team in which we beat in our inaugural Open Cup.
We're definitely going to talk more about the Fresno Foxes in a little bit. What happened, Philly? Okay, there you got a little mic.
All of a sudden, I started hearing the Angel City Chicks pod rolling. So it kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah, look,
I must have clicked something.
You mentioned it. Phoenix Rising, Las Vegas Lights, Orange County Soccer Club, last year's USL Championship champions, San Antonio FC, San Diego Loyal, Oakland Roots. Look, last year, their first year in the USL Championship, they finished 12th in the Western Conference, ahead of Las Vegas Lights, and 21st overall with a record of 12 wins, 8 losses, and 4 draws, goal differential of -17. And their only match outside of USL Championship last season was a second round US Open Cup match. And unfortunately, they lost to Bay Cities FC, no relation to the overrated sandwich shop in Santa Monica. And now I'm going to get some hate for saying that. They found form in the middle part of last year. They looked pretty good. They won 8 of 12, but ended the year losing their last 4. They are off to a decent start, but Philly, I think you're headed up there, if I remember correctly. Let's talk about where this club plays. We'll get into their front office, their technical staff, and everything else. But how about we head on up to beautiful Seaside, California, Philly, and check out Cardinal Stadium.
Pismo Beach and all the clams that you can eat. Yes, on the campus of Cal State University, Monterey Bay in Seaside. This campus sits in the middle of the Monterey Peninsula. We didn't get a chance to go south to that Monterey, so now we're going north to the other Monterey. And this features the coastal communities of Marina, Pacific Grove, Monterey, Seaside, Carmel, and the Salinas Valley, and is less than a mile from the beach. Now, the stadium itself, it's practically the size of the North End, Scarf. Well, a little bigger in the sense that we're talking 6,000 capacity. That easily can be filled by people going to LAFC 2 games. Eventually. And now the Monterey Bay FC, they invested over $1 million in renovations to the campus of Cal State University, Monterey Bay. Now, the north and the south sides of the stadium, and this is going to be pretty cool, so make sure you take photos of this, lined up at the top of the region's iconic cypress trees. And there's a lot of history that goes to this site. And let's just make sure that we've got some photos that we do have to go move it. And it was on the site of a decommissioned Army base, Fort Ord, Scarf. Now, Fort Ord was fully operational from 1917 to the year the Knicks lost Game 7 of the NBA Finals. That would be 1994. Fort Ord once housed the 7th Infantry Division Light Fighters. in 2012. A lot of that area, about less than 14,600 acres to be so, was designated as the Fort Ord National Monument by one President Obama. And it's also the home field of the Fort Ord Warriors, a semi-pro American football team. And we're talking pigskin football, that not the kind of football we're playing. And it had service members on that team. That was the full roster. And they took on teams like the 49ers and the Rams in the summer of 1954. And Scarf, they had a running back, which you're going to talk about, who was pretty darn good, that came from that side.
Dude, Ollie Matson, who after playing for Fort Ord went on to have an incredible, not just NFL career, but an incredible athletic career. By the way, I love that you called it Carmel. It's Carmel by the Sea, Carmel, California. It is
whatever, Carmel, Caramel, Mario, whatever, same-ish.
I love it. Ollie Matson, a running back, a 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time NFL All-Pro, runner-up for the 1954 MVP. That's right, the same year that they went on to play the Fort Ord Warriors, named to the NFL Hall of Fame in 1972. But Philly, he wasn't just an NFL player, my friend. 2 years before he was the runner-up for the MVP, he put on his track shoes for the 1952 U.S. Olympic track and field team. They competed over in Helsinki, Finland. He won a bronze in the 400 meters, a silver as part of the 4x4 relay. How cool is that, man? Not only are you an NFL Hall of Famer, you're also a 2-time Olympic medalist. And look, he started out in Fort Ord on the very site of Cardinal Stadium. And by the way, I don't want to shortchange Monterey Bay FC. They're watching this. We got to make sure they get it right. They invested $11 million in renovations in that field. That's pretty incredible.
Did I not say that?
No, you said 1 million, but that's okay.
I was off by 10. Really? I said 1 million?
You did.
Good Lord, that coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
You needed the doers is the thing. In 1957, land on the eastern side of Fort Ord was used to make the world-famous Laguna Seca Raceway, home to, among other things, IndyCar and the World Superbike races. I just love, look at that, Philly. The Fort Ord Warriors taking on the 49ers in that program that's from 1954. That's so cool. The site of the base.
They called it Scarf.
Well, I know, right? They called it Camp Ord at that point, looking towards Salinas, California, down there on that cool picture.
Any relation to Shay?
I wish, right? We'll talk about. You know what? I'm going to find a way to bring up Shea Salinas just because you mentioned that. So it's really cool. Look, it's a really historic site. It'll be even more historic after LAFC goes up there and beats Monterey Bay FC in just about a week or so. But their owner, you've mentioned it a couple of times. We've kind of slow played the Fresno Foxes tie-in just yet. But their owner and chairman, let's get into the front office real quick, because this club's front office, let me tell you, they've got some pretty historic figures when it comes to Major League Soccer. Talking about Ray Bischoff, the owner and chairman of Monterey Bay FC, a native of Dublin, Philly, but he grew up in Liverpool, England. Talk about a guy who's seen some things in world football. He developed his love of the football game there. He played association football when he was younger. He's a devoted follower of the game. But look, he moved here in the early 80s, and he made his money in Mercedes-Benz dealerships. Not a hard way, not a bad way, I should say. Probably a hard way, but not a bad way to make your money. But he made it down in Southern California, down by us. His dealership became the highest volume Mercedes-Benz dealer in the country. And after 18 years of success in SoCal, he went on up to not just Fresno, but also Yes, and San Jose. And you know what I like to? Outside of his businesses, he's actually involved in the Bischoff Family Foundation, which helps abused and foster children. But I'll say this, he's not the MLS legend, Philly. That's their sporting director and head coach, Frank Yallop, who has seen some things.
Seen some things indeed. And I got to say, both these guys have tremendous hair. Nothing but respect for the hair game. Now, Frank, who's involved with, he's been involved in a lot of things, but he and his good buddy Ray have done some things together. Now, Frank himself, over 40 years worth of experience in professional soccer as both a player and a coach at several different levels. He played across the pond in, England, 16 years for Ipswich Town in the Premier League. Well, not really in the Premier League, or we'll call it the First Division. a significant period of time there. Then later on, he made his way, like a lot of retired players from England, to Major League Soccer and ended up featuring with the Tampa Bay Mutiny, winning the inaugural Supporters Shield in 1996 and being named an MLS All-Star in 97. And oddly enough, we end up playing a team that he once coached this Saturday. He was the head coach for the Smurfquakes, the San Jose Earthquakes, rather, from 2001 to 2003, where he led the team to 2 MLS Cup titles. Their only MLS Cup titles. From then on, he decided, I'm through with MLS. He decided to go coach the Canadian national team for a couple of years before coming back to the States and doing something that we would all consider deplorable, coaching the LA Galaxy. He was there when Beck was signed, but the team wasn't very good, and it wasn't his fault. Let's just put it that way. He continued his time, though, in MLS. 2008, he came back to San Jose, and then he decided, I'm done with California, moved to the Midwest, Chicago Fire from 2013 to 2015. And recently, he's been a huge key to the growth of the USL Championship by serving as a coach and having leadership positions with teams you all are familiar with. Phoenix Rising, the Las Vegas Lights, and formerly Fresno FC, which later on became Monterey Bay FC. And, I mean, during his coaching career, Scarf, 2 Coach of the Years awards, 2 MLS Cup wins, a Supporters Shield, and he's in the Canadian Soccer Hall of Fame. And if you happen to be in Ipswich Town, he's a Hall of Famer there as well. The man played nearly 400 games for Ipswich Town, which is tremendous. What a career Frank has had.
I want to go to the Ipswich Town Hall of Fame after hearing about that. I'm telling you, man. I
got one of those jerseys in my closet, actually.
You have an Ipswich Town jersey?
I do. Remember the little side business thing that I used to buy stuff from, Away Days?
Absolutely, Away Days.
That was the first kit I got.
All right, wait a minute. Do we have enough time for you to find your Ipswich Town jersey while I talk about their assistant coach, Ramiro Corrales? Do we have enough time for that? What do you think?
Oh, no? I don't.
All right, maybe not. All right, listen. What I love about USL Championship and even some of the lower levels, USL League 1, USL League 2. Philly, you just got done talking about a guy that's won 2 MLS Cup titles, a guy that's in the Canadian Soccer Hall of Fame, a 2-time Coach of the Year in the league that we play in. And here he is down in USL Championship doing some things. Well, the best part is he brings on some guys that have huge pedigrees as well in Major League Soccer. Their assistant coach, Ramiro Corrales, and their goalkeeper coach, Joe Cannon. Look, there are definitely some San Jose ties with these two guys. A long time, an original MLSer with huge ties to the Bay Area. Ramiro Corrales played for, they weren't the Earthquakes back in the early days. They were the San Jose Clash in 1996 and 1997. The Miami Fusion and the New York, New Jersey Metro Stars. Where's Tony Miola when you need him? Oh, my God. Listen to these team names. I love it so much. We were talking about the Tampa Bay Mutiny, San Jose Clash, Miami Fusion, New York, New Jersey Metro Stars. We need to bring back teams like that. There's nothing real about Salt Lake. Call them something else cool, and then I'll care about them some more. Either way.
We don't really need to bring back the Metro Stars. They never left. They're now called the New Jersey Energy Drinks.
You're absolutely right. He rejoined San Jose, which became the Earthquakes. 2001 and 2003 MLS Cup winner. Oh, by the way, under Frank Yallop. So Ramiro played for Frank for quite a while. He helped San Jose to that 2012 Supporters Shield that you had mentioned earlier, in addition to being named an All-Star for the only time in 2012. When Ramiro Corrales, Philly, left San Jose, when he retired, he was literally carried off the pitch. It is such a cool thing to see. He capped at the time a San Jose record 250 times for San Jose. His leading appearances record has been broken, not just by Chris Wondolowski, but I told you I'd get him in on the podcast. The 2 players that have broken his record, Shea Salinas and Chris Wondolowski. So there's a Shea Salinas reference for you. He literally stepped off the pitch for the very last time, passed the torch and the captain's armband to Chris Wondolowski, who subbed in for him in 2013. And we all know what Chris Wondolowski did after that. He was already scoring plenty of goals for San Jose, but this was where he became captain as their assistant coach. Ramiro Corrales, Monterey Bay's assistant coach, was literally carried off the pitch upon his substitution out of the game. He also, by the way, got to cap several times for the U.S. men's national team and twice during the 2000 Sydney Olympics. I love doing deep dives on these assistant coaches, Philly. We do love our defenders. And you know what? Goalkeeper, they're part of a defender of the Banc, right? So Joe Cannon, pretty cool career in MLS as well. Philly, why don't you tell the millions
and millions
about their goalkeeper coach, Joe Cannon?
A San Jose icon within his own right. I mean, he was part of that squad from 99 to 2013. I mean, he was an MLS veteran, I should say, from 99 to 2013, but he was most successful as a member of the Earthquakes. He had his 2 stints with the Quakes, first from 99 to 2002, winning that MLS Cup in 2001. And then in 2002, he gets goalkeeper of the year. Not too shabby. He then goes on to spend some time with Colorado, which, by the way, you mentioned the Rochester Rhinos being the last non-MLS team to win the U.S. Open Cup. It was the Colorado Rapids that Rhinos team defeated. So just wanted to make sure that if we're quoting history, we discussed that. And then another deplorable thing, became a member of the LA Galaxy, being named to the MLS Best 11 and then winning goalkeeper of the year again in 2004 before returning to 2008. Returning, not to 2008 because he doesn't have a DeLorean, returning to San Jose in 2008. He played 3 more seasons there with the Quakes before heading off to Vancouver, wrapping up a pretty successful career. Played 350 times for the MLS clubs that he featured for and even suited up twice for the U.S. men's national team. So while we might think this brand new team is, cutesy and all that other stuff, their coaching staff, their owner, they've got a lot of really cool ties to Major League Soccer and a lot of ties, again, ironically enough, to the team that we're going to be playing over this weekend in that of the San Jose Earthquakes. And as a reminder, I'm wearing this Boba Fett outfit because we're recording this on May the 4th. Not sure when we're releasing it, so just wanted to make sure that you were in tune with that, because if we release this next week, then obviously the next Saturday would be the past Saturday, so now you're seeing eye to eye with me.
You want to hear something crazy? I haven't mentioned or thought of Joe Cannon, no offense, Joe, in quite a while. Major League Soccer tweeted about Joe Cannon today. Today, they tweeted about Joe Cannon in the context of Stephen Fry currently sits 5th all-time on the saves list in Major League Soccer. He is 4 behind John Bush for 4th place. In third place would be Joe Cannon with 1,331 saves in his MLS career. Just one of those things, man. Serendipity. Nature finds a way. Look, speaking of finding a way, you might not think that there are a lot of ties that Monterey Bay FC could possibly have with LAFC. They've only been around 2 years, but we're going to talk about ways that they've been around a little bit longer. But our first tie, there are 3, count them, 3 ties to Monterey Bay FC and LAFC, and the first of which comes by way of Scotch Plains, New Jersey. That's right. James Murphy. You guys all remember James? James Murphy, of course. No? All right. Look, we really wanted to have James on the show. Unfortunately, he respectfully declined an interview with Defenders of the Bank. Philly, you have something to say about that real quick? I know you.
James, come on, man. We were giving you the benefit of the doubt. I could assure you that 90% of LAFC supporters had no clue who you were. We could have happily mentioned the fact that you were a part of our team in 2018 and played for Borussia Dortmund, but you declined our request to chat with you. Your buddy Aaron Kovar said he'd come on. What's up with that, James? You could have been on. We would have loved to have chatted with you. Anyway, that's all I have to say about James Murphy.
Look, on this day in LAFC history, which is a segment we normally do here on Defenders of the Bank, March 2nd, 2018, 2 days before our inaugural matchup in Seattle, north of the border, LAFC acquires midfielder James Murphy on a transfer from English Championship side Sheffield Wednesday. Not Monday, not Tuesday, but
or
Wednesday.
United.
Right? Murphy, unfortunately, would never appear in an LAFC match, at least a competitive one, because look at that picture on the screen right there. He got to play against Jadon Sancho, Christian Pulisic. Who are those 2 guys up right up there in front of you there in the Philomonster Studios, Philly?
Andreas Schürrle and Mario Götze.
They did something kind of cool, right? One time.
Yeah, you'd have to go back to 2014, but they did something, let's put it this way, not to make light of it, but they'll probably never have to buy a beer in their respective country ever again.
Yeah, that's for sure. Look, he got to play on the same pitch. First of all, Banc California Stadium at the time against Borussia Dortmund in that friendly. Aaron Kovar scoring the goal. Really cool that Murphy got to appear for us in that. Unfortunately, never got to play in an MLS match. The 25-year-old Murphy, though, has certainly enjoyed his most success as a pro with Monterey Bay FC. And we really do have nothing but love for you, James. Appearing in almost 40 matches over the last 2 seasons. He made his professional debut, Philly, at 17 years old in the English Championship, subbing on during an EFL Cup match, now known as the Carabao Cup.
Sponsor money.
Yeah. He scored his first and only professional goal in 2022. That would be for Monterey Bay FC. And he has tallied 11 assists over almost 7,000 minutes for 6 professional clubs. He has also capped almost a dozen times for the U.S. youth national teams at the 18, 19, and under 20 level. Look, when we're going through the roster, I saw James Murphy, and I said, that's got to be the same James Murphy from 2018. And lo and behold, it was. I believe he wore number 19 for us at the time, subbing on against Borussia Dortmund.
Where's 19 for us now, Scarf?
I'm staying completely away from the number 19 right now.
Why?
Who wears number 19 for us right now?
Mateus Bogusz.
Oh, excuse me. I was thinking of someone totally different. Yes, Mateus Bogusz went, and dude, big things from Mateus Bogusz, but more on him in a little bit. Philly, you've tried to mention these guys a couple of times, but we had to bottle it up until right now for our second connection to LAFC. Somos Oros.
I wish I would have thought about things a little more diligently. I would have pulled out the Ipswich Town jersey, and I would have pulled up my Fresno FC scarf. There's one in the bin. The Foxes. And let's take a look at that logo, that beautiful, beautiful Foxy logo. That's right. Monterey Bay is actually an extension of what Fresno FC was. Now, the owner, Ray Beshoff, he wanted to secure a soccer-specific stadium in the Fresno area. But unfortunately, he didn't get the opportunity to do so, and as a result, closed the doors, ceased operations after the 2019 season, and then took the team from Fresno to Monterey Bay in 2021, and then they began their play in the USL Championships in 2022. Now, during our inaugural season, and we said this earlier, LAFC did play Fresno FC in the U.S. Open Cup at Banc of California Stadium. You'd have to go back to June 6th of 2018, where we had starters such as Aaron Kovar, Callum Malice, alongside the OG 99 himself, Adama Diamande. And that's when we had Walker and Jordan Harvey in our back line. Lee Wynn, Edward Atuesta, Latif Blessing would have the start in the midfield. And despite dominating the stat sheet in the first half, Fresno FC kept it really stinking close. It was scoreless heading into the locker room. And then we start bringing out some of the big guns. A halftime substitution of Diego Rossi, who would come on for Dio. And then just 8 minutes later, off of a pass from Dejan Jakovic, Diego Rossi scores. Then LAFC would get another one 3 minutes later from the star man playing on the right. That's right, folks. Latif Blessing closes it out 2-0. Then LAFC would go on to defeat 2023 round of 16 opponent, Sacramento Republic, the Portland Timbers, before falling to the Dynamo in the PKs in the U.S. Open Cup semifinal.
Yeah, that's still a bummer. But, dude, I remember that match, dude. You and I were talking about it at the half, and Fresno Foxes played us tough in that match. Everybody was very uncomfortable at the Banc. I mean, look, we'd only been a team for like 3 or 4 months, and so we weren't used to having a lower division team come in and really play us tough in that first half. That was a really fun match. How cool would it be if we get Sacramento Republic, by the way, in the round of 16 in 2023? That would be fun. That would mean they would beat who's the other team in our thing? Is it Colorado? I don't even remember.
Colorado's in our little bracket.
It is, right? It is Colorado. So we got one more little tidbit, one more little connection to LAFC, and that would be the first match ever at Cardinal Stadium. And, beautiful 6,000 seat capacity Cardinal Stadium. Look, there's Cardinal Stadium again. Their first ever match at Cardinal Stadium was against the Las Vegas Lights last season. And, of course, the Las Vegas Lights, huge ties to LAFC last year. So to open their new building, they decided to beat up on the Las Vegas Lights. Not very nice of them. It's a goal from a player we're going to talk about in just a little bit. Walmer Martinez in the 56th minute hits the goal, and it's only 1-0 for the home side, but that's all they would need. The lineup for the Lights that day consisted of many familiar faces to both LAFC and LAFC2 supporters. You got guys like Christian Torres and Danny Crisostomo. Danny Trejo out there. No, Crisostomo, get out of here with that. Danny Trejo, Alvaro Quezada, Mohamed Traore, keeper Tomas Romero, and on the bench, Nathan Ordaz, Abraham Romero, Christopher Jaime. I mean, that's a lot of guys that are either playing for LAFC or LAFC2, or at least did. But we mentioned that they ended last season with 4 straight losses, unfortunately missing out on the playoffs. And the first of those 4 straight losses to close out 2022 was a 4-0 loss to the Lights. The Lights really trending in the right direction towards the end of last season, featuring, again, plenty of familiar faces. We already mentioned Trejo, Crisostomo. How about Cal Jennings? Missed that guy. What a fan favorite. Also, Tony Leone, Mohamed Traore, Laji Male, who was he was on the Las Vegas Lights back then. He's now with LAFC2 getting all the starts. And again, keeper Abraham Romero. Duenas on the pitch. Love me some Eric Duenas. Nathan Ordaz and Julian Gaines, they all came in off the bench. 2 goals and assist from Danny Trejo, a goal and an assist from Cal Jennings, and an assist from Danny Crisostomo was more than enough to back a clean sheet from Abraham Romero on just 2 saves. So that's kind of fun, right? We got some ties to LAFC over there at Monterey Bay FC. But you know what? Let's bring up that beautiful logo again, that crisp and kelp logo that they've got there. Let's talk about, Philly, how they're doing so far in 2023.
Yeah, they started out the season fairly well, sitting 6th in a 14-team Western Conference. They've got 3 dubs. They got 2 L's. And, that's good enough for 12 points. Let's put it that way. A couple of draws here, and they have a goal diff of +3. But how did they get to the round of 32 in the 2023 U.S. Open Cup? Now, we'll talk about that in a second. Last year, though, they bowed out in the first Open Cup match. Definitely not the case this year. In early April, Monterey Bay beat U.S. League One side Central Valley Fuego, say that several times fast, FC 3-1. All 4 goals in that match were scored during added time, which is crazy. The extra 2 15-minute periods used to decide a match that is tied after regulation. And in this case, it was 0-0 into added time. And we had goals by Christian Valesky, Alex Dixon, their Golden Boot leader and MVP, Sam Gleadle. That's what propelled them into the round of 64. Now, this was the club's first ever U.S. Open Cup win. Not too shabby for a team that's been around for a cup of coffee. Now, the win also jump-started a 6-match unbeaten streak, including easily their biggest win in their 2-year history. In the U.S. Open Cup round of 64, they had a home match against the San Jose Earthquakes. Now, I want to go back to their very, very first game ever. It was a preseason game, a game in which the Smurfquakes destroyed them by a score of 4-2. That wasn't going to be the case on this day, though. This was the first time that Monterey Bay had ever taken an MLS side in a non-preseason match. And obviously, it'd be a night to remember. 26th minute, that Christian kid again, Christian Valesky, pounced on a San Jose turnover and absolutely buries one, smokes it like a pack of cools into the back of the net to give Monterey Bay the lead. And despite the fact that San Jose had players such as Cade Cowell, Jackson Ewell, and even subbing the MLS Player of the Month in Christian Espinosa at the half with Jeremy Abobasi with over 30 minutes remaining, the Quakes couldn't freaking score. The Quakes couldn't score. And your cup set took place. Monterey Bay becomes one of just 8 USL Champions League teams to make it to the round of 32 in 2023. And that's nothing like the upset-riddled 2022 version of the squad. So congrats to them for beating San Jose, but you've got a really big challenge ahead of you in just a couple of days.
Hey, you know what? They might think they've got their chip, they've got their chair. It's a home match. They just beat up on an MLS side.
A pretty good one, by the way. San Jose is not too shabby this year.
And they're playing well. I mean, look, those are huge names. Cade Cowell and Jackson Ewell are going to be playing, in my opinion, in the 2026 World Cup for Team USA. You got Jeremy Abobasi, incredible scorer. You mentioned it, man. Just
Guy
announced.
kills us all the freaking time, by the
Yeah,
way. Whether he's a timber or an earthquake, he always kills us.
Player of the month, Christian Espinosa. That's a huge win for Monterey Bay FC. Look, you mentioned a lot of big names in there. Let's go a little in depth on some of these next players to watch. Look, they've got a roster of about 24, 25 guys, but it all starts here at Defenders of the Bank with the back line and their keeper. More importantly, this goalkeeper. Philly, I'm going to ask you to bring in your tie with him in just a quick second, but Anthony Siaha was signed midway through their season in 2022 last year. Because, look, I don't think they were getting the keeping they needed from Herrera. So they bring in Anthony Siaha. And all the dude did when he took the pitch for Monterey Bay FC had clean sheets in his first 5 starts. 5 clean sheets. All right. He's on another solid run heading into their Cinco de Mayo match against Pittsburgh, keeping clean sheets in his last 2 matches, including that 1-0 Open Cup win against San Jose. Philly, this keeper, Anthony Siaha, might be the real deal. And you've got a little bit of a history with Anthony Siaha, I believe.
A very, very short history. Anthony Siaha, the Cameroonian keeper, spent a very, very short stint in the Major Arena Soccer League playing for the San Diego Sockers. He never really got an opportunity to play because shortly after he signed on with the Sockers, he had an opportunity and jumped ship to the San Diego Loyal. But for a very short period of time, he was the tallest goalkeeper in the MASL, a very big, imposing figure at a whopping 6'6". This kid is huge.
Yeah, speaking of huge guys, man, they've got a center back, Hugh Roberts II. All this guy does is captain Monterey Bay FC. He is a tall, rangy defender who controls their back line. And look, he's a USL champion veteran. This is a guy who's seen some things and played some clubs. He's in the top 10 all time in both minutes and games played in USL Championship history. Currently leading all of USL Championship in clearances with 54, and he leads by like 12 or 13, something ridiculous like that. He's doing it at a pace that not many players in USL Championship do it. And he's already a club legend, scoring the game-winning goal in the 90th minute in their first ever win back in 2022. And look, this is something we know Kellen Acosta, Mark Anthony Kaye, players that have ties to LAFC have been a big part of the MLS Black Players Alliance. Well, he helped found the USL Black Players Alliance back in 2020. Definitely a guy doing things on and off the pitch. I'm kind of hoping he doesn't do a whole lot of stuff on the pitch. Although if he does, I guess that's a good thing, right? If we're testing Hugh Roberts over and over and over and over again, that's pretty good for our offense. I know, look, they got a couple of the guys that haven't really been playing all that much. A guy like midfielder Simon Dawkins, who's got English-born Jamaican international roots. He's
hell of a career.
21 times for the Reggae Boys. He scored internationally, Derby County. I mean, he's been pretty much at Aston Villa. But
he might be Tottenham's Youth Academy.
He's probably not going to play for them. Unfortunately, he's been hurt for quite a while. We know defender Moray Donaire is going to play. I mean, he's played all but 13 minutes across the last 2 seasons for Monterey Bay FC. But you mentioned it, Philly. You mentioned a Golden Boot winner for Monterey Bay FC last year, at least the team Golden Boot winner, and a player who's got kind of a cool history, maybe a little bit of a tie to LAFC as well, Philly, in midfielder Sam Gleedle.
Yeah, a very cool history indeed. The kid was born in England. At the age of 9, moves to the United States, to the Midwest, and oddly enough, plays his college ball for the New Mexico University Lobos. What a jump from England to New Mexico. Culture shock? Maybe. He led the team last year with goals in 8. And in 2023, he's already got the same amount of assists this year that he did last year in that of 3. And the LAFC tie-in that Scarf was alluding to, we jokingly referred to it as Reno 911-1868 FC. We'll shorten it. It's Reno 1868 FC. He played for them in 2018 with a former member of the Black and Gold, and that of Danny the Moose Musovsky. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
He's also their MVP last season, by the way. Not only just their Golden Boot leader, but their MVP.
Listen, I'm very disappointed in you. You turned down several opportunities to say Chichester, England. Chichester. That's fun. We're not saying Chichester, Philly. Chichester.
Chichester.
There you go. All right. We talked about Walmer Martinez, Philly. If there's ever a hometown story, how cool is Walmer Martinez? A product of Cal State Monterey Bay.
Go Otters!
I mean, he played. They're the Otters?
They're the Otters.
I didn't know they were the Otters. Look at that.
Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. So his practices, let me get this straight, were at, Cardinal Stadium. And they played their home games probably at Cardinal Stadium, I believe, right? That's on the campus of Cal State Monterey Bay. He transferred to Monterey Bay FC from our buddy Lafferty's favorite club in USL, Hartford Athletic, at the end of 2021. And how cool is this, man? The hometown kid scored the first home goal in club history in that aforementioned 1-0 victory over the Las Vegas Lights. But how's this? Joshua Perez and Tomas Romero have played a little bit with Walmer Martinez as well. 20 caps with El Salvador's national team, including the 2021 Gold Cup and World Cup qualifiers in 2022 against the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. This kid has seen some things. He's not going to back down from LAFC one bit. He had to take on El Tree and El Maple Tree in the same competition. I like this kid, midfielder Walmer Martinez, man.
He was also the team's very first signing ever, so he's got a little history and some street cred to him.
All they did was look down at the other end of the field and go, "Hey, you want to play for us instead of the college? Sure, all right." And he was right there. So, dude, they've got.
Wait, you mean I no longer should be an otter?
You go from an otter to the crispin kelp. It really wasn't that big of a transition. Don't they eat? I don't know. They don't eat kelp. I don't know what they do. Oh, God, I teach middle school, and I don't know what otters eat. All right, Philly, let's get on to the players that will try as best they can to score goals against Los Angeles Football Club, and that's this trio right here led by Chase Boone.
Yeah, Chase Boone, 27-year-old Oregon native. Along with Sam Gleadle, he led the club last season with 8 goals. And he also... What the heck is going on?
What just happened? We got Crispin Kelp coming out of nowhere. I love it.
Good Lord, I thought that was my stomach rumbling for a second. I thought I might have had some liquid. Never mind, I'm not going to say it. That just shocked the crap out of me, literally.
Literally. Yeah, don't forget, he did get while that was happening, he got the USL Championship goal of the weekend, week 12 last season. Yay, Chase Boone. You know what? You got to talk about him. His first name is Christian. Go for it.
Yeah, the former SIU Edwardsville player who had a stint with FC Tucson, the Rochester Rhinos, and St. Louis FC. He was, interestingly enough, Scarf, the 2015 MLS Combine's most valuable player. And he was selected in the 2015 Super Draft, 32nd overall by the pesky Pine Trees of Portland. So this kid had a pretty good run in the Combine, but he didn't end up getting signed for Portland, which is kind of crazy when the kid is the MVP of the Combine. I was quite shocked going through his statistics, but he's from Henderson, second in the club with goals and assists, 3 and 2 respectively, and he twice has been named 2023 USL Champions League Player of the USL Championship Player of the Week. Playing this is his 6th club. And the former, as I mentioned, Portland Timber MLS Super Draft pick sits inside the top 20 in goals scored all time in the USL Championship. So while not necessarily succeeding in MLS, but he's doing some things and creating some drama and some damage in the USL. Yeah,
look, here's the thing about Christian Valesky, man. And I want to say, I'm not 100% sure, but I hate to I didn't catch this in our pre-show. I'm pretty sure Alex Dixon's picture is above Christian Valesky, and Christian Valesky's picture is above Alex Dixon. Either way, that's okay. Christian Valesky is a guy who's already, Philly, you mentioned it twice, been named Player of the Week this season. This is a guy we got to keep our eyeballs on. He is very, very, very good.
Can we hear those bubbles again?
How did we do the bubbles? How did we even do the bubbles?
I want to hear the bubbles.
I didn't do it the first time. I have no idea how we did it. But likely, Philly, the most lethal weapon.
And some bubbles.
Not Mel Gibson, not Danny Glover, but the most lethal weapon in the Monterey Bay FC arsenal is likely Texan Alex Dixon. currently the USL Championship leader in goals with 6 for the whole league. He announced his presence with authority in their first ever match for the Crisp and Kelp in their 5-3 win, sorry Lafferty, over Hartford Athletic in week 1 this season. Dixon netted the fastest goal in Monterey Bay FC history, on his way to the first hat trick in Monterey Bay FC history. He is on his, you mentioned, Valesky's been on his 6th USL Championship club. Alex is on his 5th USL Championship club. The former Houston Dynamo product is in the top 20 all-time in goals, assists, games, and minutes in USL Championship history. These guys are pretty good, man. And it's
the kid played his college ball at UNC. He was a Tar Heel, and that's not an easy club. That's not an easy team to make. And he was the 4th homegrown player in the history of the Houston Dynamo, and also had 3 caps with the U.S. Men's U17 team. These guys have some skill. There's no doubt about that. But there's one player that you mentioned that you didn't mention that does have an LAFC tie.
Yeah.
Can I stump the scarf?
Yeah.
Well, do you want to take a guess? Do you have any idea what I'm going to get at?
I don't know why, but I think you're talking about Sean Ugo Okoli.
Oh, yeah. He was academy teammates with Aaron Kovar. There's that name for the 3rd time so far. Aaron Kovar strikes again.
Yeah, I'm hoping he's healthy enough. He has yet to suit up for Monterey Bay this season, but played at Orange County SC, where he was on the 2021 USL Championship champion OCSE club, which is cool. Came through the Sounders system. We'll see if he's healthy enough to go. Philly, that's the Crisp and the Kelp, man. So Crisp and Kelp, I guess, right? That's how they do it. Monterey Bay FC. Boba Philly is back. You guys, this is the way. This is what we are going to be doing for the rest of the season when we play. You hold on, Hello Kitty. When we play a club that we are not usually all that familiar with, we're going to do a show just like this. This is getting to know Monterey Bay FC, our USL Championship Open Cup opponent in the round of 32. I'm so nervous to say this, but I'm going to let Darth Kitty have the last few words.
Mr. Scarf, it's really quite fascinating how I have such a lower, smaller body than Boba Philly, but yet I have a bigger head somehow. It was a very nice, informative, educational little show that you ran, and I think that LAFC will move forward by a score of 3-0, and that is all I have to say, because I can totally feel you from the other side of the South Bay cringing at my commentary. But alas, Mr. Scarf, Anakin Darth Kitty still loves you.
I'm hoping you're right, Darth Kitty. 3-0. I'm going to throw it out there, too. I absolutely think it's also going to be 3-0. I'm going to go with Hello Kitty on this one. Look, unfortunately for the USL Championship side, they're catching an LAFC side who just played their best match of the season. And look, they might be a little tired from playing up at Levi's Stadium, playing San Jose just a couple of days prior to heading on over to Cardinal Stadium, but this is still LAFC. And just in case anybody forgot, we announced our presence with authority against Philadelphia 3-0. I'm going to say, look, how many 3-0 matches have we had this season already, Philly? I think Hello Kitty's on to something. 3-0.
Hello Kitty is quite smart, and I appreciate her commentary. LAFC's doing well, and as we mentioned on the last pod, they're the trailblazing, MLS Cup raising, always competing, Monterey Bay beating, goal scoring, rip-roaring, styling and smiling, black and gold wearing, hate on us because you can't stop swearing, champions of this league, CCL finalists, and soon-to-be U.S. Open Cup finalists. And don't you forget it.
Hey, that's a beautiful way to end it. You know how we like to end all of our episodes, including this one, episode 246. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.